Hi there, this is Vlad from Ausgeknipst, and in this quick video tutorial I'm going to show you how you can use your Nikon F4. The F4 is a pretty complex pro-grade SLR and the successor of the mechanical F2 that I have here and the electronical F3. As you can see, when you compare the F3 with the F4 has a much more modern design and is much more sophisticated when it comes to all the functions, buttons and dials. This is so far the most complex camera I'm making a tutorial on, so let's hope that I don't forget any of the functions. I will start the video by showing you how to change the batteries of the camera and what batteries to use with the camera, what lenses you can use with this camera, how all the buttons and dials on the camera function. As you can see, there are plenty of those. How to load the film, how to compose the image and find the correct exposure using the built-in viewfinder, how to take a photo, and how to rewind and unload the film. So let's start with the batteries, step by step. I've already inserted batteries and you have a battery check button, so if you want to press this one and all the two lights light up, it's fine, you don't need other batteries. If there's only one of the two circles lighting up, the batteries will need to be replaced soon. If nothing lights up, they are dead. To open up the battery compartment, turn this lever, pull up this battery chamber and remove both of those battery holders. Those can be a problem with those cameras, as those alkaline AA batteries which the camera use. You need in total 6 of those, 1.5 volts, very commonly available, but have the problem that they tend to leak. So if somebody forgot those in the camera and they leaked, probably the camera is damaged. Plus it's pretty hard to come by those MS21 battery holders. We might reproduce those in the future, as some of you guys have asked us to do so. So just insert the batteries as usual. You need 6 AA's alkaline batteries like this. Then comes the other part, lock it in place, check, battery check, and it's fine. You can use the camera as in the vertical configuration like this. That's why you have a second shutter button here, which you can unlock by this little lever. Now this camera will function in the portrait orientation. Let's check the lens now. The F4 is the first F with a autofocus system. This is why I have attached an AF Nikon lens here. To detach the lens from the body, I press this bayonet unlock button, the silver one, twist it clockwise, remove the lens, and as you can see, the lens has context for autofocus, and this is the cam and the shaft inside of the camera body that's doing all the autofocusing mechanics. You can also use the camera with AI lenses. Those need the AI Rich. The AI Rich is located here on the lens and it will communicate with the camera through this little lever. Tell the camera what aperture you chose on the lens. Like this. To attach a lens to the camera, just align the black dot with the white dot and twist it. And now, through the help of this little cam, the camera knows which aperture I'm choosing. To choose the aperture, as always with those Nikon F mount lenses, you twist the aperture dial on the lens. To focus, obviously you turn the focus ring. This is a manual focus. AI lens. You could also use pre-AI lenses which do not have the AI rich here. If you do so, don't forget to turn up this little lever here by pressing this little button like this, so that the camera body won't get damaged when using old pre-AI lenses that only have those rabbit ears but don't have the AI rich on the lens. But right now I will use just the standard AF lens, attach it back there, align red dot with white dot, twist it counterclockwise, and we are ready to go. Let's check, it's focusing, as you can see. You can also use manual focus with those autofocus lenses. To do so, just use this little lever which is located here and set it to M for manual focus. Now the shutter button won't activate autofocus. I can either set it to S for single autofocus or C for continuous autofocus for tracking subjects. In a very rudimentary way, as this is not a modern digital camera. Now let's start by discussing all the buttons and dials on the camera. I'll start from left to right, top to bottom. On the left we have a aperture step down lever which closes down the aperture, as you can see, which helps with composing and checking the depth of field of your image. You can also press it and turn it to the left, so this will lock up the mirror inside of the camera. This is especially helpful, as you can see here, when you're doing long exposures with a tripod attached to the bottom of the camera. You have a tripod mount here. This is the AFL button, which will lock the autofocus of the lens. This is especially useful if you want to focus on something, then recompose your image. Then you just press the button and then the shutter button is unlinked from the shutter button, which won't trigger the autofocus then. You also have an AEL button, which is an exposure lock button. This makes the same thing but just with the exposure. You can also activate both of the buttons at the same time. To do so, just turn this lever to the red dot here, the AFL lever, and now the AFL button will activate both the AFL and the AEL function. On the right from the lens we have the focus modes, the lens unlock, and you have a remote connection socket and a PC sync port. If you're missing those caps and you're a tidy person like I am, you can check out our store. I'll leave the link in the description below. We sell those caps. Now let's go to the left top. Here we have the ISO dial. To unlock the ISO dial, you have to use this little lever here. Then you can just twist it, or you can't. No, that was the wrong lever. You press this little button here to unlock the ISO dial. As you can see, most of the buttons and dials on the camera are locked, as with most professional cameras, which prevent them from being accidentally activated or turned. This little lever here will be used to pull up the rewind lever, which doubles as an opening lever for the back door. Then we have an unlock for the metering finder prism. This camera has interchangeable lenses and also interchangeable viewfinders. This is the standard viewfinder. It is a DP20 it is called, has some electronic communications here. On the finder itself you will find a diopter adjustment. If you have glasses you can use those to use the camera without glasses. You have an option to choose the metering mode from spot metering to sender weighted to a full image metering mode, and you also can adjust the prism for use of special finders. So if the finder is making the image darker, you can compensate for that by turning this little screw here. Let me reinstall it by just clicking it into place. Let me see. Like this. Now that's the finder. Unlike the F3, which I have here, and the F2 also, the F4 fortunately has a built-in hot shoe for flash operations. You can also use TDL flashes with this camera. The 1/250 seconds shutter speed is the dedicated flash sync speed. So if you're using flashes, set the camera to 1/250. Then we have the first rewind unlock. To rewind the film, the camera has a motor rewind. To use it, press this unlock button of the first rewind, unlock R1, turn it, then with the left hand press the other rewind unlock R2 button and then turn this level. It won't activate if there's no film inside, but I'll show it when we have inserted the film, how it's rewinding the film. You can also rewind the film manually if you're out of battery and want to change the film or just get it developed by using the standard rewind lever. You will still have to use R1 for that, so R2 is for the motor rewind activation. You have an exposure compensation here from 0 to -2 to +2. You also have to twist it like this. Then here you have a little lever that activates double exposures. Now it won't advance the film and I can make multiple exposure on one single frame of film. We have right of the exposure compensation dial, we have the mode selector. As you might already know from modern cameras, we have the M mode, meaning I'm selecting shutter speed and aperture manually. Then we have the A for aperture priority, which means I'm choosing the aperture on the lens. Camera chooses shutter speed for me. S mode, vice versa, meaning I'm choosing shutter speed and the camera is choosing the aperture for me. And I guess you would need to set the camera to the yellow mark, which is F22 here, for use of shutter priority mode. Then also with use of the P and PH mode, as you can see, all those modes where you need to set the lens to the yellow 22 are also printed in yellow so that you remember it to do so. This is basically the A mode on the old Canon FD lenses. So S mode shutter priority, P mode is auto everything, meaning shutter speed and aperture being chosen by the camera, and PH for faster operations. Let's set it back to manual, and last but not least you have the shutter lock button here. Set it to L, now the shutter is locked so you don't accidentally expose your image. S for single shots, CH for high-speed shooting, CL for low-speed shooting, CS for slow-speed continuous shooting, and a self-timer, which is indicated by this little LED. It's a 10-second self-timer. That's it. I guess those are all buttons and dials on the camera. If I missed something, please leave a comment in the description below. So now let's check if the light seals are intact, which this is something I always do before loading film. Otherwise you could get problems with light leaks. So on the Nikon F4, as it's pretty modern in film camera terms, most of the time the light leaks will be okay, but still you will have to check them. They are located in those grooves along the top and bottom part of the body. Then you have a hinge seal, a thin hinge seal located here. You have backdoor seals on top and bottom, all along the back door, and you have this little film window seal, which we also sell in our shop. If you have troubles with light seals, you can buy those online. This little window will show you which film you have inserted into the camera. So now let's set the ISO of our film. This is, for example, an ISO 200 film. So let me set the ISO to 200, unlock the ISO dial with this little button here and set it to 200 like this. Set, open the film back door again, insert the film, pull it over. Now the tip of the leader should be placed where the red square is, like this. The rest on this camera is automatically. Close the door, press the shutter once. Now it's advancing the film a couple of times. Let me set it to... Not sure if it worked. Let me check and open it up. Looks like the film is torn. Let me try it again. So if you haven't properly loaded the film, camera will tell you by this little... It's not working with this film. Let me try another film. Probably I've used this one too much for those demos. Let me try this one. It's a 100 ISO film, so now obviously I would have to set the ISO to 100. Okay, now it seems like it worked. Let me check. It's set to M. I'm still in the self-timer mode. Sorry guys. So let me set it back to S, single exposure. And now I can see that the rewind spool is turning together with the exposure. Now I know the film is properly loaded. You have an exposure count here. It's already at 10. So you know how much exposures are left on your film. This is a 24 exposures film, so I still have 14 images left. Now let's have a look inside the viewfinder. On the top left you can see a little 12, which is telling me that I am on my 12th exposure. If I press the shutter button now, it goes +1 to 13, +1 to 14 with another exposure. So this is telling me how much film I have left depending on what film I'm using. Left of the 14, this little window is empty right now. It is because I haven't set any exposure compensation. If I turn the exposure comp on the top right of my camera, which I showed you before, which you can't see now, it's showing me that I'm on minus 0.7, for example, exposure comp. If it's turned to 0, it doesn't show me anything. Right of the 14, in the top center, we have a little window that is showing me what aperture I've set the camera to. Now it's set to f5.6, or I turn it up to f22, like this. On the top right, we have a focus indicator. Most of the time you would use this camera with autofocus, but I can also set it to manual focus and focus until the green dot appears. Right now, the camera is telling me that in the center of the frame, the camera that I focused on is in focus, like this. And on the bottom of the viewfinder, we can find left bottom, which metering mode I've set the prism to. Right now it meters the whole frame. I've set the shutter speed to 1/60th of a second, and as I'm in manual exposure mode, the viewfinder is also telling me which direction I should turn the exposure, either the shutter speed or the aperture opening, in order to get a proper exposure. Right now, when I'm on f5.6 and with a shutter speed of 1/30th of a second, I would get correct exposure, or with 1/125 seconds, I would underexpose the image by 2 stops. This is it. So that's how you use the viewfinder. And last thing that is left is rewind the film. As I told you, you can either rewind the film manually. To do so, you have the unlock on the top right here. Unlike with most other cameras, it's not at the bottom, but here. You unlock it like this, and then you turn up the rewind lever and twist it in the direction of this little arrow, or you use the motor rewind. To do so, you simultaneously have to hold the R1 lever, unlock the R2 lever, and also twist it like this. Now I can open the back door and remove the film to get it over to my favorite lab or develop it myself. If you liked the video and found it helpful, please consider subscribing. Supports our channel. Other than that, and if you have any questions, leave me a comment and I'll try to answer anything. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.